I'm sitting looking at copies of El Excentrico with Garza and Herman Vasquez. Tell me about what you're holding up there, Herman.
I'm holding up El Excentrico, and that was one of the community pamphlets that I used to read, and I enjoyed it, and it's bringing back a lot of memories. But there's articles from various folks in the community that would submit their their writings. This was pretty much prevalent wherever you went to. Some of the stores, department stores, they would have copies there of El Excentrico.
What do you have there?
I have other copies. This one happens to be with a cover of Cesar Chavez. And not only were they prevalent, this was primarily the main source of news of different activities going on in the Mexican community for that week or the previous 2 weeks. This one goes all the way back to 1967. And you'll see in the picture the pictures of two individuals who were participating here in the community. This is for the pink elephant markets. Again, this was the Austin family. Owners were Austin family. Very great contributors to the Chicano community movement. Interesting enough, this Zapata's restaurant. This was a meeting place of many, because they had rooms in the back that we would use for luncheons or dinner meetings and or just community meetings. And this was owned by Jose Martinez. Very good restaurant.
Where was it located?
On right next to Santa Clara on South First Street. Right next to the Bank of America, of all places.
Al, I've put some magazines in front of you.
Yeah.
El Excentrico magazine. This one is from 1963. Here's another one from 1967. These magazines were published twice a month in San Jose from 1946 into probably 1980. I've seen an issue as old as 1979. So it had a long run. I believe it's a basic, most complete history of the Mexican in San Jose that exists. You mentioned in our conversation El Piñón and then back to an older organization called the Californians.
Los Californios.
Los Californios. What do you remember, if anything, about the old groups like that? You mentioned Marcy Mora having a ladies group of some kind?
Yes.
What was that group?
Marcy Mora, I met when I was the president of MAPA, the San Jose chapter. She was the president of Las Coronelas, which was a women's organization, but primarily recognized as a social organization for women, Chicano women, to get together on las tardeadas and other Mexican fiestas. But later on, Marcy became involved in other organizations, such as GI Forum type. Other than that, I don't know much more. Later on, because I know Marcy because she's involved in training programs for the county of Santa Clara. But Marcy also became like a very strong supporter for me when I was in politics, and just a very good person, a trustworthy person, and a person of integrity and dignity.
You're thumbing through some eccentricos. Why don't you tell me what comes to mind as you look at these magazines?
Oh, the most basic thing that comes to mind is the pictures of people that I got to know as I was coming along in the Chicano organizations and Chicano community for different reasons. As I said before, here is Carlos Gomez. Carlos Gomez was very much used as a moderator, as the spokesperson for the social organizations in in San Jose, and he was often on radio in terms of who was where and attended what function. Joe G. Lopez, also a member of the GI Forum, very active, very outspoken individual, very knowledgeable, and a very, very, at least sincere person. That's who I got to know. And then, of course, Bert Garcia Jr., excuse me, son of the publisher, and who I got to know. Gilbert Solares, I got to know his sister, B. Robinson. But Lina Manriquez, owner of one of the most centralized salons, and is the arena where we could meet. Yeah, Lina Manriquez is the owner of Manriquez Hall. She would let the organizations like the GI Forum and CSO use the place for meetings without charging rent. Remember, Jack Guevara's sister became also the first woman on the school board. She was elected, of all places, on Mountain View School Board.
I never knew her though.
No, I didn't know her. I had met her, but I didn't know. I guess I knew her.
Herman is holding up a copy of El Excentrico, and we're looking at the Furniture Discount House advertisement of Hank Coca, who was located on 82 East Santa Clara. Still there. Tell me your memories of Hank Coca.
Well, my memories of Hank Coca was when I was a job developer at Operation SER. We placed a lot of our students, trainees there with Hank Coca, and that's how I met him.
What was he like?
He was very friendly person. He was very involved in the community in other areas other than what I was involved in. But he was a very nice gentleman. He hired our people. He had interviewed them, hired our people, and we worked very closely in that manner.
What's your recollection of Hank Coca?
Oh, my recollection of Hank Coca with Furniture Discount House was that Hank was the proprietor of a business, one of the first most publicized Mexican, American or Chicano owned businessmen in the community. And Hank never hesitated to be asked for a contribution, and he participated in many, many fundraising endeavors, including scholarship programs, of which I was associated with for MAPA and CSO. And Hank was one of the first individuals that I remember that would contribute in the hundreds of dollars and not just the 50 or 75, 80 bucks. He was a very generous individual. And later on, when I was on the city council, I bought my office furniture from Hank Coca.
We're looking at another eccentrico. There's an article by David Sierra. Did you know David Sierra?
Yes, I knew David Sierra. He was, when I was working at Operation SER, he was one of the board members, and he was also, I believe at that time, he was the chair of the American GI Forum. Yes. Of course, American GI Forum was very involved in education, scholarships, and they would have their annual, gala, and where I would attend those. And there was David Sierra was, I consider him as being a leader of what he was doing. And he was very vocal, and very well knowledgeable on education and issues facing the Chicano community there. So I remember David Sierra well.
Al, what are your memories of David Sierra?
Well, basically same as Herman. Again, as a member of the GI Forum, I got to meet David. And I always knew that he was very much aware of what was happening in the community. And as a writer for the Excentrico, he made it a point to really point out some of the better functions that were going on and benefits for the students and adults in the Chicano Latino community.